Hello, everyone. Hi, it's Michelle Howe from Empath Evolution. And today I am bringing a very special guest. This is someone I've grown quite fond of. He is an empath and he worked with me a lot of last year and he took my Journey to Awakening program. More so, I would like to have him share a little bit about what his life was like, what the word means to him, what it meant, and then before he knew and what it means today. So I hope you learned something important from this and I hope you enjoy. I'm just going to bring him in now. How do I do that? Here we go. Hello, George.
Hi everyone. How you doing today?
I'm sure they're doing good. They're excited to hear what we can share with them
Okay.
about a lot of things at this point. So,
Um,
George, did you ever hear the word empath before?
I did. Um, I don't remember where I first heard it, um, but I did one of those questions. The questionnaires. Are you an empath?
Mhm,
And I checked off pretty much all the boxes.
mhm.
And I searched around. I got some information here and there. I looked at some teachers, but I never really got. I'm a feeler, and if I don't get a good feeling about somebody, or if somebody doesn't click with me, I just keep scrolling. So, for a long time, I kind of knew, but I really didn't know. I didn't know what it was all about. I didn't have any real information.
So when you say you kind of knew there was something to this, but did it really mean anything to you? What did it mean?
Well, I always felt different. Like I never really fit in, and like I always felt like I've always been searching. My whole life I've been searching. I don't even know what I'm searching for half the time, but I'm searching. And because it's confusing, because you feel things, you know things, you don't know how you know things, and you get a message and you're not sure where it came from, but it was strong, so you're listening to it, and you just don't understand a lot of actually what you're going through until you really start
So
looking into it.
did you ever kind of put it to I'm really intuitive? Did it ever go that far?
Yeah, I knew I had good intuition because there were times when things would happen where I would think about somebody. I thought about a friend of mine I was dreaming about him. I was thinking about him every day for like 2 weeks. I hadn't seen him in a couple of years because I had moved from where I used to live. And then one day he just walked into my store where I was working. And it was like, okay, this makes sense now.
It's almost like deja vu, connecting, knowing things,
Yeah,
getting a thought in your head, the next thing you know, someone calls you
yeah,
or whatnot.
yeah,
Um, so you've come quite a ways. You've been through quite a bit of things in your life.
yeah. Lots of
Um,
trauma.
Lots of trauma.
Yeah.
Um, how do you think that trauma and I mean, other people have been through trauma as well, but what did that trauma feel like for you? I don't know if you can even compare it to what other people went through, but from your experience, how did you look at what was going on around you? How did you handle the situations as a young person? And was it helpful to you? Did it hurt you? What do you know today that you didn't know back then?
Well, I look at my life like in a completely different light now because of the experiences I've had in the past year working with you. So when I was younger, it was really confusion, anger, um, a lot of rage, and then you self-medicate or you do other things and to try to deal with what you're feeling because you don't know really how to deal with it. And I spent plenty of time in therapy, but that only gets you so far. But when I started working with you, I realized that the energy and the feelings and the words have power. And when you suffer trauma, it can store itself in your body in different places, or it can store itself in your mind in different places, or in your soul. And the trick is to try and release it all. And I learned a lot about releasing in the past year for sure. I released a lot of the trauma that I've dealt with in my life. But now I see it because of the connections that I've made too. I see that certain things we experience aren't really meant for us. They're meant for people around us to learn from or to get something out of.
So along the way, it would have been helpful. Like you were just doing what you do and what you needed to do to survive along the way.
Yeah, basically, I was in survival mode for a long time. Yeah, for sure.
Um, but you got a huge education in a lot of different emotions and a lot of different
Yeah,
dynamics.
yeah. I feel everything I feel is very intense. I don't feel anything lightly. No matter if it's good or it's bad, I feel it very intensely.
So
So,
that whole intense thing. So, I mean, people don't know you here, but I know you.
yeah,
I'm sure people that have met you along the way throughout your life never looked at George as sensitive in any way necessarily.
no, probably
As,
not.
because why? What did you master? Were you able to?
I mastered how to block things and how to shield myself with a different personality. So most people were intimidated by me, and I used to wonder why, because I'm not a big guy or anything like that, but it was just the energy I used to put forth. I think used to back people off of me, and I protected myself that way.
Well, it's almost a protection mechanism as well.
Yeah,
If I project out something more intense, don't mess with me, no nonsense
yeah,
kind of a
yeah,
thing, people people are, aren't going to go there.
yeah. Usually, yeah.
So I'm trying to think of what other questions I want to bring into this because you've been through a lot.
Yeah, quite a bit.
And tell me a little bit about how, before you discovered the whole a confirmation of the spiritual and the sensitivity and whatnot, what solutions were you finding? Like how did you get through life without anything that you know of today?
That's a good question. I think my stubbornness to refuse to quit, and I'm very strong. I can block a lot, but there's been a few times in my life where I've had to stop and take time, and because I was kind of forced to, illness or whatever the case may be, and forces you to spend time going inside and looking at yourself and trying to eliminate things or change things.
So I don't want to underestimate just what you dealt with as you're blocking, as you're dealing with what's coming, not necessarily recognizing energy exchanges, emotions. You're
Yeah, I had no idea about that stuff. Really never.
reacting. This is making
Yeah,
me feel this way. I'm going to do this,
yeah.
right? Um, which is
Some people would set me off in a way like they would just annoy me when I saw them, and it was like I didn't understand what that was about. I just didn't get it.
And tell me about when your whole system was on overdrive, and I found this really so amazing when you explained this to me. When I was really at my wit's end, I want to say overwhelmed. I'm using your words now. What would what was your solution? And then you would wake up fine the next morning.
Oh, when I was younger, I used to go out and drink till I blacked out. To me, it was like unplugging the computer that froze, and it was overwhelmed. The computer just shut down, and now you got to unplug it, let it sit for a minute, and then plug it back in.
Yeah, and when you were telling me these stories, I'm like, oh my God, that's what you did. I mean, it sounds so over the top.
Yeah,
Do you know
I
what I mean?
actually I actually discovered that by accident. I was really stressed out one time. I was like on my 20s, my early 20s, but I was just my mind used to go 100 miles an hour all the time, and I would kind of burn out a little bit. And I just happened to go out drinking with my friends, and I got blind drunk and blacked out. And when I woke up the next day, it was like everything was gone. It was like a fresh start. And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. I got to remember that."
So, answer a question. If you were, to tell your, I mean, some people that you went to high school with, or some people that you in your family, would any of them say George is too sensitive?
Mm, probably not. Maybe one of my sisters, maybe, if they think back to when we were kids.
Because why? What was your reputation? I mean, how did
Well, I have a large family, a lot of sisters, and I was the big brother. So I had a, it's kind of hard to keep track of everybody and keep everybody from getting in trouble. So I developed a reputation as if you mess with my family, you're going to have to deal with me. And most people didn't want to deal with me in that situation. So
right. Um, so, as far as the sensitivities, you had a role to play. You
I had a
had
role to play. Yeah, I had
a
a role to
role.
play for sure. And it was
I'm
drilled into me too as a kid. My
right.
father would go to work at night. I was the man in the house, even though I was like 78 years old. You're the man in the house. Take care of your family. Watch out for everybody. Da 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 da.
Tell me about a little bit about, because your dad was out in the community. He was a fireman, correct?
Yeah, he was a
Right?
fireman. Yeah, yeah,
He was the brave, savior, and the
yeah.
community adored him. And yet in his personal life at home,
There was a lot of issues. Yeah, a lot of issues.
but thinking back, here's this strong man that can save the world.
Yeah,
He comes home, and it's not so easy to manage his inner world, his
yeah,
actual world.
yeah. Yeah, no time to talk.
So, how do you define the word empath in this? Like, how do you define the word empath? Because many people
I
look,
think basically, I think everybody really is an empath. Some people are probably just blocked, or they're so deep into their own stuff they don't realize what's going on around them. But to me, it's you feel things, you feel other people's energy, you just know things sometimes. Or some people are stronger; they hear what people are saying, or they hear what they're thinking. And but for me, it's mostly feeling. I feel everything, and I feel all the different energies, and I'm learning how to work with that now. And it's actually pretty cool. Actually, I like
I know.
it.
uh, you've been amazing. So talk to me a little bit about, as comfortable as what this is for you, about death and spirit world from your experience now.
Well, um, I was never really afraid of death myself, but losing other people, it always hit me hard. It was always like a really tough thing for me to deal with, losing people, and especially when my wife passed. That was completely unexpected and totally sudden. There was no warning or anything like that, and it kind of knocks you off your feet. But working with you, I've been able to make connections in spirit that I only hoped to do in the past, and it's been really enlightening, and it's a beautiful thing. It really is.
I oh, if anybody who goes through it
Yeah,
will be blown away.
yeah, it's
Blown
amazing.
away.
It's really amazing.
I remember before we were working together, you were talking to one of my assistants, and I then listened to the recording of you. And as soon as I heard your voice, I was like, oh, there's an empath. I'm like, and he's got a strong connection. There's something more here. And that's why second time around we talked, I'm like, let me talk to him. I want to talk to him. So a lot of the progress you've made really is just cleaning off a lot of the garbage that's there.
Yeah, I released a lot of stuff.
And you start releasing it, and then it's almost like now, and then you take it over. You've been able to use, I don't even want to say tools, it's a connection that you have
Yeah.
and then you explore it and explore it and explore it.
Yeah. I feel disconnected if I'm not like in that energy or in that moment. And then if I don't, if I go like a day or two without doing any kind of meditation or trying to connect, I feel like, I forgot to take my vitamins for a week, I'm all sluggish and like, and I'm like, what's going on? And I'm like, wait, I haven't really done anything in like 2 days. I need to do some meditation here, connect with spirit. And
Hmm.
it works every time.
Yeah, it's a chart. It's it's almost like tasting something that's so amazing
Yeah,
that why would you not want to taste that again and again and
yeah,
again because of the
absolutely.
impact that it has on you. Um, so tell me a little bit about Journey to Awakening was a program you did with me last year.
That was a really good program. I mean, you really make us dig deep in those classes. And it's not just brushing over the surface and saying, oh, yeah, you got a little schmutz, we got to get that off. No. We're taking our boots off and scraping the mud out from in the inside and clearing out a lot of stuff and just learning about, our emotions and our energies and how they interact, and how they're, you know, affected by people around us.
Right. And how the other part is how do we truly help other people?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
How do we help ourselves first?
Right.
And kind of any misconceptions about what we're here to do
Yeah.
versus what we're truly here to do, what we
Yeah.
can do, what is appropriate for us.
I think I think everybody's here to lift up the people around them, and if everybody did that, this world would be an amazing place.
Yes. So what do you see wrong with the tapestry out there? I mean, what is the world going through right now from your
Too much greed, and too much people wanting power for themselves, and too many people looking out for themselves and not the people that are around them. We're taken into the larger picture of what's right and what's wrong, and there's just too much partisanship. So everything is, you're either left or right. There's no middle ground, which doesn't lead anywhere. Just contention.
I
You're
agree.
never going to have peace in the world with things like that.
So in order for people, society, humanity to move closer together and to become more united in an approach that supports everybody. I say everybody. Everybody is a lot of bodies, right?
Yeah,
But there's a certain compassion that has to come to the table for that.
absolutely, absolutely. And people got to stop sniping at each other for really the stupidest things. That's all you see in the news or anything else is one side sniping at the other side about anything they did. Doesn't matter what it is, and all that does is create contention and tension, and people are on edge and walking around on eggshells, and it's it's not healthy for anybody.
Right. So the whole fear, fear.
Fear, yeah, I don't do fear. I just don't do fear.
Oh yeah, you don't do fear. What do you do
No.
with fear, George?
Fear, I don't. I just connect with spirit. So I gave it all to spirit. You take all the fear, you can have it all, transmute it into love. I don't panic. I don't do the panic and the fear and all that stuff. And you watch the news and they're trying to scare everybody. They're gonna have people walking around with plastic bags over their heads. So the way they're going, and it's just it's ridiculous. There's no reason for it.
Right. So, in a state of fear, in a state of survival, in that state of striving, and I mean, there are plenty of people in the world that are in precarious situations that
Yeah,
need to take care of that.
yeah, that's a different situation. But I don't like. I don't put on the news and get all panicked because they're trying to drum up that there's there's that, this is going to happen, the world's coming to an end. I'm like, it's
And I think that comes back to how much of that are you letting into you
right.
like,
Yeah.
and it's effective if that's,
Yeah.
so
But some people can't block that or even deal with it. And it just drives them wild.
why no?
Yeah.
So then people end up needing to do what you did, disconnect a computer, get drunk.
Do something. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. You gotta get away from it. You can't live in that.
no, no. Um, what would you say to, I'm sure there are a lot of Georges in the world that don't know the word empath, don't know the word energy. They're just, they're doing what they got to do, and there's something to be said for that.
Yeah.
They're making it happen.
You have to find something. Some people go to church. Some people meditate. Some people go play sports to burn off energy. You got to find an outlet, and you got to look inside yourself. You can't look outside for what you need. You got to look inside for what you need because it's all right there.
So there's destructive ways.
There's always destructive ways. Yeah, the unplugging the computer was a destructive way for me, really. In the end, it wasn't too healthy to go blind drunk and pass out. Yeah.
you know, um, and did you ever feel there was something wrong, George, along the way with you? Like, did you
Oh
ever?
yeah, of course. You always think, because you grow up in chaos and all that with trauma and everything, and you start thinking, something I did. What's wrong with me? Why is this happening to me? You go through that. You go through that. But you have to learn. You have to keep searching and keep looking for answers. Because if you stop looking for answers, that's when you wind up homeless on the street as a drug addict or something. Because you stop looking for your answers. You know, you gotta keep fighting through it. Not easy sometimes. Sometimes you got to take 2 weeks to lay on the couch and just take a break. But you can't stop looking.
So I want to say and remind the people that are listening to this that if you are living in a constant state of stress, whether it's a real situation that you're in or it's a situation that lives in your mind, I'm stressed, I'm this and this and that, that's a constant state of stress. Physically, your body's going to shut down because there's only so much you can
But it
take.
can only take so much.
So the answer is, how do you let go?
Breathe.
Breathe.
Breathe. That's my mantra. Breathe. Just breathe. I focus on my breath. And when I get like that, I focus on my breathing. And I just let everything else that can do what it's got to do, spin around in my head, whatever. But I just focus on my breathing until it passes. Until I'm calm.
The number one tool you would say to empaths is what?
Breathe. Breathe. No matter what's happening, because you're going to feel everything. Some people feel everything. Some people feel a lot. Some people are able to block. But if you start getting, you know, pelted by energy and it's really starting to affect you, the best thing you can do is breathe and breathe your way out of it, like anything else. Just breathe till you're calm again. You can think clearly. Because if you try to come up with an answer when you're in that state, now you're all panicked out or you're stressed out and you think you're going to come up with an answer, you're not. You're just going to be coming up with a reaction. So the best thing I think is just keep breathing. Breathe, calm yourself down, and then look at it with a clear set of eyes. A lot of times you do that, and then when you look back at it, it's like it wasn't a big deal to begin with. In your mind, you're like, why did it even get like that?
So I'm thinking back to some of our conversations and, how a phone call comes in or you learn about something and there's an immediate rush of, I'm going to go take care of that right now, right?
Yeah, I've had those. I've
I'm
had
gonna
those.
I'm gonna fix that.
I've
And
had
in
those.
those moments, I mean, I've had them myself. I
Yeah, I used to deal with a lot of rage and anger. I had to deal with that for a long time, and I used to get like that. Somebody messed with my family, yeah, I would fly off the handle. I was going to hurt somebody.
How intense was that, George?
Intense to the point where I would find myself standing there shaking, and I couldn't even think. I couldn't move. Like it was like I split. Like the part that was trying to keep me calm and the part that wanted to fly off the handle just ran into each other and just got stuck.
Yeah.
And the only way I got out of it was breathing. Just breathing, I calm myself down.
And even back then, you didn't know anything about empath, but you were
No,
like,
I didn't. I had no idea. Yeah.
let me just breathe. Let me just breathe.
Yeah.
Um, when we started looking at your life and looking at the different traumas that had come your way, um, one of the things that, and you are an amazing person, period. You came up with, I gave you a certain amount of guidance and you then took it and took it to another level. And at one point you said, when we were meeting, yeah, he goes, Anger's sitting on the couch right now. It's
He's taking a nap.
taking a
He
nap.
pops his head up when I pat him on the brow and tell him to go back to sleep. You're not needed now.
Oh my gosh. So, different tools, different approaches, but that really did work for you.
Yeah.
And is Anger still on the couch?
Yeah, he's on the couch. He pops his head up once in a while, and I tell him if he's needed or not.
It's okay. You can go back to sleep. I'm
Yeah,
okay.
I got this. Don't worry, I got this.
No, it's great. It's really great. So, just breathe for the young person that's going through life and has challenges.
Just breathe and focus your mind. So that's all you can do, really. Let it ride. It's like getting on a roller coaster. You get up to the top of the hill, and all of a sudden you're flying down. You're scared. You're screaming, and then you hit the curve, and you come back up, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm okay. I'm good."
Yeah, yeah. What about savoring the quality, like the quality of your moment? Like, because I think a lot of people can spin out and spin out and spin out with either their heads thinking too much, their bodies moving too much. They don't know how to stop.
That happens. But I look at those now. When I look at those instances now, I see it as a learning point. Like, you're really getting ready to spin out of control. What is that telling you about yourself? Breathe your way out of it, calm down, and then take a good hard look at what just happened and why it happened. Because you're probably going to go way back into your past and find something that happened that you need to let go of, and that will stop happening to you.
Well said. It's like it's almost like we'll go in circles, go in circles, go in circles, not truly see why we're going in circles.
Yeah, you got to dig down a little deeper.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
there's layers of things that
Yep.
we may not know are there, and a lot of times we don't even want to.
Sometimes I'll think about something that happened in the past, and I'll feel it in my body, and then I'll go to that spot and I'll work on it. Like, where is it in my body? Where do I feel it? And try and release it from that point. Let it go from my body, because then you can let it go from your mind too.
Well, if it's not so real, if it's not making you physically uncomfortable, not really there anymore.
Yeah.
So we all know where our well, people call it triggers. I've called it triggers, emotional triggers.
Yeah.
Certain behaviors, certain words, certain people will trigger something in us. And part of the program was to teach you, well, why are we being triggered? What is it that's actually happening?
Yeah, you wind up, like I said, you wind up going back, 10, 20, 30 years and realizing, oh, yeah, I remember when that happened. Yeah, I feel it in the same spot. Okay, I can see now. And you wind up letting things go.
So, thank you, George, for sharing. So,
Anytime. Yeah.
What's next for you? Have you given that some thought?
I'm really getting into the healing thing, into healing other people and stuff. So that's where I'm focused. That's where I'm focused, because since I've been working with you, my palms have been really, really active, and I worked with a couple of people already, and it's fun. I like it. I'm enjoying it.
Well, it
And
brings purpose.
yeah, it brings a purpose, and it feels good. It energizes me when I do it. So like if I'm feeling a little sluggish or something, I'll try and do healing on somebody, and it actually makes me feel better. So
Because
it's like a double-edged sword, but it's a good sword.
when we do healing on people, we receive the same way
Yeah,
they receive.
yeah,
So I want to one last question. I think the whole religion part of this, religion, spirituality, spirit, right?
yeah.
I think you were an altar boy, if I'm correct,
Yes, I
right?
was. Yep, for a couple of years actually. Yeah,
Tell
Catholic
me,
school for 7 years. Yeah,
how do you wrap? How do you see all that? You know,
I used to be confused by religion. Well, because I would go from religion to science and from science to religion, and it would just confuse me because they would contradict each other half the time. And I saw a lot of hypocrisy involved with religion and things like that. And for me, I um, I always just connected with Jesus in my mind and in my heart. Even when I was a little kid, I used to think because everything they talked about Jesus was that he was forgiving and he used to healing, and he didn't play any kind of games or anything like that. He was like the ultimate healer, and so I always just kind of connected with that, and now I just have a real strong connection with him, and I try to work my healing through him. So
so when I think of Jesus and okay, so when I think of religion, I was raised Catholic. I
yeah,
certainly loved being in church. Loved being in church. But my little antenna, my little empath, I'd listen to what was being said. And in my head was like, yeah, no. I
me too. Yeah, yeah,
no.
yeah. I listen to people's words and their intentions behind the words and what they say. And it's sometimes it's like they're saying one thing, but it's totally another thing that they're projecting.
Right,
Yeah, and you
right.
see right
So
through it. I know.
thank God for being able to see right through it.
Yeah,
And
I know. Because some people are blind to that. They don't even know they're being misled. They don't even realize it.
right, right. So learning to trust,
Yeah, that's a big one.
learning to listen
Yeah,
to what's coming, and learning to shift from hate
hate and rage and anger. And,
to love.
yeah,
Is there such a thing? Yes.
yeah. You have to just learn the tools that help you to release all that and to let it go. I don't really all you got to do is connect with spirit. If you can connect with spirit, you're good. You're good as gold. The spirit will guide you.
Thank you, George. Thank you for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you.
I'm going to just give the audience a little bit of a goodbye message. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions about empath, feeling, healing, how to emotionally empower yourself, period. Because it's not like a given, we didn't take a course, right? On emotions or healing or relationships. There are courses, yes, but from my perspective, it's more about knowing who you are and recognizing and understanding that truth to begin with, and then engaging with what's outside of you from a stronger perspective. So it's empathevolution.com. Thank you for joining us, and I hope to talk to you or see you at some point soon. Take care.